I was in my deceased grandmother's home and was watching a program about dogs. The young vet on the program was discussing a medical procedure that involved freezing the dog before they operate. I was distraught. Surely they don't just put the dog into a giant freezer while he's still alive, I thought to myself. I left the house, lost in a cloud of troubling thought. The family dog was due for an operation the next morning. I glumly reached the back door of my family home, and in the distance I could see the white walls of the veranda, which was situated in the old schoolyard, the playground of my youth. My eyes glazed over, and I thought about those innocent days, and how I'll never see their like again. It filled me with a debilitating sadness. But then I remembered how my childhood was actually filled with pain, anger, and confusion. Sometimes I wonder, are my memories mine, or are they merely the intermingling of reality and advertisements? The image of the Milky Bar Kid popped into my mind. I began to wonder whether the Milky Bar Kid grew up to be the Milk Tray Man. Maybe as a child star he was bullied, ostracized, and in turn shunned society, took to the dark side streets, a confectionery Phantom of the Opera, a Cadbury vigilante. Then in adulthood began to secretly leave boxes of chocolates and erotically charged post-it notes on bedside tables. In this day and age, the image of a strange man leaving sweets in young women's bedrooms and jumping in and out of windows is ridiculous. Not to mention all the health and safety issues. Maybe I never lost my innocence, I thought to myself. Maybe it is still in me, unrealized. It was never safe for it to express itself fully. Perhaps it just folded in on itself, again and again, then festered, and now seeps out into other developmental faculties, and taints my present perspectives. Maybe when I'm 90 it'll have worked itself out, and I can be an official adult, and then be able to finally host a legitimate dinner party. I walked into the house and could see no sign of life. Where were my parents? It was late and I needed bed. I had school in the morning. I couldn't afford to have another bad night of sleep. The television was on and I could see Zooey Deschanel being interviewed on the Late Late Show. She was wearing a see-through dress with a bikini underneath. Where was my father? I headed outside again and made my way to the back garden. My sister jumped out of a bush and told me about some cup of tea with a strange object planted inside of it. I had absolutely no idea what she was on about and brushed her off, determined to find my father. I finally found him in the turf shed. He was atop of a giant stack and had a transistor radio to his left, blaring out some strange booming dance music. I was about to keel over from tiredness and desperately tried to get answers out of him, but he was having none of it. He proceeded to sort out the stacks of turf like a game of Tetris, but a game where you never win. Did he not realize how late it was? It was so late, it looked like daytime. Finally, he turned the radio down and we could communicate. I asked him about the dog and what was going to happen tomorrow with the operation. He mumbled something. I could see my uncle entering my grandmother's house. I panicked, wondering did I leave anything incriminating behind. Suddenly my uncle came out running and screaming, wielding a cup of tea over his head. He was making no sense, claiming that he found some mysterious object inside his cup, that someone was trying to poison him. I couldn't take any more of this. My dog-tired eyes were rebelling in my face. He then quietly asked me what was the best way to serve a spoon. Was he expecting guests? Yuri Geller? I stumbled down the turf stack and thought long and hard about it. I remember seeing a spoon positioned dead center on a napkin in a television show the night before. I told him to leave the head of the spoon at the top, facing away from the guests. I then collapsed.